Hey, we're going to begin photosynthesis, the very last topic in our core biochemistry 2.9. And the main idea, which actually we're going to be talking about a lot, is the fact that energy from the sun makes stuff. So, and many of you may know the formula for photosynthesis, but basically all you need is carbon dioxide, which is like air, right? Plus water, and that makes fruits, leaves, wood. So like this somehow, air and gas, try that again, gas and water makes the parts of plants that we consume, right? The energy for life. That's not a very good line. The energy for life, because we consume these, we are consumers, and these producers provide us that energy. So, what we're going to talk about in this topic is how the sunlight's energy is breaking that water. And when it breaks the water, it makes ATP. And that ATP is used to make all of these things that we later use, right, to make ATP. So it's kind of like a cool little relationship we have. So thank you, plants. We don't thank you enough. The assessment statements, there are a bunch, but they're kind of grouped together. So the first one is just basically like the equation of photosynthesis and how it converts light energy into energy in organic compounds. We're also going to talk about what is sunlight in 2.92, talk about chlorophyll. We'll actually do a small experiment here to try to isolate the different pigments that capture the sunlight. Then we're going to be talking about like what lights or what wavelengths of light photosynthesis works best at, yada, yada, yada. Talk about the actual process of photosynthesis, and then talk about some different experiments and eventually like how, thanks to plants, the oxygen produced by plants help create things like iron in our rocks and that we use for making steel and stuff like that. So let's get into this. So 2.91 says, state that photosynthesis involves a conversion of light energy into chemical energy and carbon compounds. So as I quickly drew before, so the light energy is going to act on this water. So that light energy is going to cut that water, break that water, and from that, we get our chemical energy. We get ATP. And then ATP is used later, and we'll talk about these different reactions, the light and the dark reaction, which isn't the best terms. We use light-dependent and light-independent reactions in IB biology. And this ATP is used to make this molecule, which you should recognize as glucose. And then glucose can be joined to other glucose to make like the important parts of plants, right? And we've talked about this. So if you're making like the cell wall, that is composed of, right, cellulose. And cellulose is just many cellulose. That is composed of many glucose molecules. The plant could maybe store the glucose as starch. So there's different ways that the plant can do stuff. Let's just talk about a plant real quick and talk about like where this energy is captured. So plants have all the same organelles as our cells do with some additional ones. So there are organelles inside plants that are basically these stacks, almost like coins. These stacks, and these are called chloroplasts. And chloroplasts have little pigments on them on the surface that help capture light. So they're going to capture the light's energy and do this thing called breaking water. So there's our chloroplast. And that's where all the photosynthesis happens on these chloroplasts. And that's where that conversion of light energy to chemical energy and organic compounds, carbon compounds, take place.